150,000 riders from around the globe embarked on the Zwift Academy journey. Now, just 10 contestants remain for the finals.
I just feel so lucky that I'm here.
I've come all this way from Australia to win this pro contract. I'm not going home without it.
To win, they will need to impress the pro team judges.
We are really looking to see some aggressive racing.
And the professional cyclist superstars from ALTON Phoenix and Canyon SRAM.
They're not going to get this opportunity elsewhere, and they're not going to get this opportunity again.
Come on, what are you waiting for?
It's the opportunity of a lifetime to win a pro team contract.
2 of you will be leaving the competition tonight.
This is the Zwift Academy Finals.
Starting tomorrow, it's going to be war.
Coming up on the Zwift Academy Finals, the finalists are tested in a Mallorcan storm. There is a points race battle.
Mount's getting odds on the line! Just pulls out a second or two of a gap now.
And we have our first eliminations.
2 of you will be leaving the competition tonight. Your Zwift Academy dreams will end here.
Welcome back to the Zwift Academy Finals, day 3. Over the first 2 days here in Mallorca, the judges have had a good opportunity to look at the riders, their physiological qualities, and indeed some of their riding skills.
Today, though, the riders are going to face another tough test on this island paradise of Mallorca. Now, there will also be an elimination tonight. Some of our riders will be going home early. Morning finalists. Firstly today, you will be going, well, for a bike ride, basically.
Yes, 2 hours, steady, just spinning the legs. And it is quite important that you don't go too hard on this morning's ride, because later on this evening, for the first time, you are going to be competing head-to-head on a Zwift race.
That's right, the gloves come off. Now, it's a points race format, so you're going to be needing to make repeated maximal sprint efforts on the punchy cobble climbs of the Richmond World Championship circuit. Now, the amount of points on offer increases as you go through the race. So if you want to be in it to win it, and I suggest you probably do, you're going to need to be fighting until the bitter end.
That's later. Now, you should probably go and get your rain jackets on.
That's right, the elephant in the room. Come to Mallorca, they said. It'll be lovely.
Not today. And Mallorcan roads are notoriously treacherous when wet, as slippery as a Belgian cobble. But that is something you are likely to have to navigate if you turn pro.
That's right, the judges are going to be watching.
So, whilst the riders are about ready to head out on their ride, you will notice there are a few absent. Whilst the Canyon SRAM women's team seem well up for going out on a training ride in the cold, wet and windy conditions, it appears that ALTON Phoenix aren't up for it.
No. Well, does that mean that Mathieu van der Poel's going to be here this morning?
He's hanging around the hotel apparently instead.
I wonder if he fancies practicing cyclocross remounts with me in the hotel car park. You're right, just, you go hit with and I'll just...
Go and see if you can find him.
Okay, all right. See you in a bit, mate.
There'll be some nerves in the bunch. Mallorcan roads are perfect in the dry. In the wet, they are treacherous and will expose weakness in any rider's bike handling ability.
Riding in the rain, especially in the group, it's quite tricky, especially for people who are not used to it, because you just need to stay concentrated. You need to be focused on what's happening around you non-stop. Like, you need to think about others and not necessarily about yourself. Yeah, you just need to observe all the time, be alert and know what's happening around you.
Despite it being billed as an easy ride from the judges, concentration is going to be key.
Do you train with somebody back at home or usually on your own?
I train a lot with my friends, with my dad sometimes. Cars! My sister also rides sometimes with her.
I get a lot of support from my family. Like, yeah, they're really proud, and they just, they always support me, like going for training or doing a race. My dad was a professional triathlete when he was younger. He just makes my trainings and I'm doing the trainings, and sometimes afterwards we just talk a bit. My family also want for me to have a lot of fun, like to enjoy life and just to do the things that I love the most.
I'm pretty warm actually. I'm toasty, mate.
Something layers on.
Yeah.
The finalists survive the dicey roads, and despite the horrific conditions, morale seems good. For some, perhaps it's the novelty factor.
Yeah, first time kind of like cycling and weather that kind of cold and wet. It was pretty interesting. It's still pretty good out there. Like us boys just like, you know, got a bit of chit chat going. The sun came out for about 5 minutes, teased us a little bit.
But now it was time to dry off and get the feet up. The clock is ticking to tonight's critically important Zwift race.
The riders will be facing a total of 27.9 kilometres in their race tonight. That is made up of 3 laps of the short Richmond circuit.
Yes, so basically the flat bit has been removed, leaving 2 short, sharp, cobbled climbs and then a long and painful drag to the line. Now, in my opinion, this is one of Zwift's very best racing courses, modelled faithfully on the World Championships course from a few years ago. But this is e-racing, of course, so there are differences, particularly power-ups, which are, in this case, feather, aero or draft, and they're awarded at random to the riders at key points during the race. They effectively turbocharge their own attributes, and they can deploy them with this button.
It's time for the Zwift points race on the Richmond cobbled climb course. 3 laps, points available for 3 riders each, 3, 2 and 1 as they come across the line on Libby Hill and 23rd Street, and then 6, 3 and 2 for riders at the finish line. Still on the flats here on this opening lap. The first power-ups have been collected at the start arch. Riders are about to hit the first climb up Libby Hill.
Right, the riders have just hit the bottom of the first KOM. It ramps up quite gently. We're only on about 4%, and then we're going to swing a hard right onto the really steep cobbled sector.
Willemijn is the first to make the push at 7.7 watts a kilo, stretching the group out here. Well, that's an aero power up from Rachel. She's given her power more effect. She's made herself a little more aero in game. She can conserve some energy here, and she'll be in a strong position for the base of the cobbles, you'd think. Right, here we go up Libby Hill. That's Caitlin using the feather there, dropping her weight, should allow her to go past Rachel. Remember, 3, 2 and 1 points available at the top now. Watts being powered out, as you can see. Just look at the faces there. It's Caitlin who's at the front in that lighter yellow coloured jersey. Just coming around her now in the green is Maud. You can just see she's taken the lead. 7.4 watts per kilo. Some real efforts being put in here, and it's going to be 3 points for Maud, and that looks fairly easy, doesn't it? Maud, Caitlin and Rachel. Interesting that Imogen isn't present here.
It has already blown to bits. So Imogen, as you can hear from Beth, has already gone out the back. Not quite sure what's happened. That's a real surprise because she was looking super strong on previous days. Maud, perhaps unsurprisingly, based on her power numbers on day 1, has taken that first KOM easily. And she's still out front, whether or not she eases up and waits. Caitlin was second over the top. Rachel, you can see, just sitting in behind me. But we've got our selection made. Here we go, ready? QOM number 2.
Well, these climbs come back to back, thick and fast, straight after each other. And Maud yet again is out there at the front. Caitlin there in the yellow jersey looking to pick up 2 points again. The maximum points are going to go to Maud. No doubt about that. She's almost 5 seconds in front of Rachel. It's going to be second and 2 points for Rachel. Caitlin there. Willemijn is drifting off the back too now. In terms of Imogen, we're hearing that she's suffered a mechanical. That's why she's lost touch with the group.
Just stay focused.
It's worth reminding you all that in Zwift gameplay, working together on the road is just like working together on the road in real life as well.
Get wheel of mind, get together. Get together, recover, work together.
The riders approaching Governor Street. Coming up to the finish line again now. You can see that Caitlin is struggling. Try to close the gap as she really fights with the pedals, with the power, with the gradient as well. And it's Maud coming up to the finish line. She'll take her own power up. There's Rachel as well. Rachel in second position in that grey jersey. Caitlin at that really nasty middle of the road point there at around 10 seconds, all on her own. It's going to be a really hard job with Maud and Rachel still at the front. But look at this from Maud, who's showing her own explosive attributes now. Second time up Libby Hill now. On the 23rd Street here. And Maud is going to come to the top yet again and take maximum points. Rachel's been with her, but Maud might well have just put her behind. So yet again, maximum points for Maud. Rachel, 6 seconds now, just gaining. Maybe an opportunity to get back on. Well, that's a good recovery. They're back together at the front. Now, Maud, has she enough left? Or has she sat up intentionally somehow here? Interesting to see how things happen. So that group behind at just under 30 seconds.
Work together, guys. Okay. Close it out.
Well, into this final lap now, 5 kilometres from the finish line. 2 more climbs to go.
For the two leaders, Rachel and Maud, there's only just under 5 kilometres remaining now. So with these KOM points, we've seen Maud taking them, but then dropping back so that she's with Rachel to share the workload. Might come a point where she decides to make an attack for the points and keep going.
And so to the final time up Libby Hill. So Rachel hits the button, uses her power up, but what has she got? Well, looks like it's a feather. Good timing from Rachel, who's trying to get herself in the game. And here she goes, she's past Maud, so Maud now drops her feather. Can she get back to her before the line? Pedaling away for dear life on the bike now, but here comes Maud again. Around that final corner, here comes Maud. Green jersey, they're coming to the line and Maud's gaining. Maud's gaining, oh, it's on the line! It looks as though as it's Maud who's taken the points. She continues to dominate. Riders on 23rd Street here. We know that there's been one dominant racer in Maud. And Maud rides away from her rivals once more. Rachel's giving everything though. It's not enough to stay with Maud. Look at the difference in the demeanours on the bike in the room here. All eyes transfixed on the athletes, and in the virtual world it's Maud who pedals away yet again. Another 3 points for Maud Alderman. Maud is racing really clever here, letting Rachel catch her, sitting in a draft for a while, and then rolling her for the points. She really has a racing brain much beyond her 18 years. Just look at the effort here. Look at the effort. Maud is approaching the very, very final pedal strokes of what has been painful but glorious stuff for her so far. She's pulled off a monster ride here for a monster gap. Maud going all the way to the line. Maud taking the victory. That is a very, very special ride, appreciated by some VIPs in the audience. Oh, will remain the last to finish.
After some explosive Zwift racing, here are the official results of the women's points race. First is Maud with 23 points, second is Rachel on 16, Caitlin's in third on 6 points, Imogen picked up 3 to take fourth, and Wilhelmine is in 5th place, having failed to pick up any points.
I was just really happy that I could execute my plan. All in all, pretty happy. Things happen, and I think I made the best of what happened. That's racing, that's life. You can't predict what's going to happen, you just have to adapt.
It's now time for the men's points race. I predict this one might get a little bit punchy.
Another 3 laps then on the roads of the Richmond UCI World Championship course. So Sam's gone for it. Well, coaches describe him as a diesel. The question is, can diesel power win a race like this? The rest in a group of 4 working together.
Interestingly, Sam has decided to go for it early and is currently enjoying a 2-second advantage over the rest of them.
Yeah, just a casual 500 watts for Sam. This is the trouble is though, like, it'd be easy to get dropped at this stage, and if you've then got to start closing gaps, 500 watts, like, yes.
And does this show us that Sam's not confident in his sprinting ability up the climbs?
Or is it just the fact that he knows he's got a big engine, particularly on the flats, because he's a slightly bigger rider, and actually he's just pressing home his advantage, trying to soften up his rival?
Just 2.5 kilometres in, and it's the 25-year-old part-time teacher from Tamworth, New South Wales in Australia, who's ahead. Now we're getting a bit of a reaction.
But we thought we'd get the thoughts of someone that's a potential future teammate for these 5 riders. Matthew, what have you made of the start? Because Sam's absolutely going for it right from the very beginning. Risky tactic, would you say?
Maybe, but I think for him it's the smartest tactic. Nobody wants to chase him, I think, and blow up already, so it's interesting, and if he can hold on this pace, maybe he can ride solo until the finish line.
Yeah, it's been really interesting already at the start of this race. What else are you looking for in the riders at the rest of this race? Do you think it's possible that they're going to come back to him? Or, I mean, it's a long way to go.
It's a really long way to go, and maybe someone can bridge the gap on one of the climbs.
Well, it's up to 12 seconds, so you're doing a great job. We'll see if he can hold it.
Right, here we go up Libby Hill. Won yesterday's Day 2 hill climb. Knows all about how to win this thing. Of course, he's big mates with Jay Vine, the former winner. These lighter, punchier riders behind need to use every one of these hills to close that gap to Sam.
Okay, we're on the first climb now, and tactically this is absolutely fascinating. So Sam has gone early, he's managed to get that gap. The guys behind stopped chasing, no one wanted to take it up. So he has a pretty big gap, but he obviously can't lift his pace for this steep climb. He's kind of stuck at 6.5 watts per kilo. Stuck. Whereas the other lads are closer to pushing 10 watts per kilo. So his 20-second gap is now down to, 13 seconds.
On the 23rd Street here, gap's come down considerably now, hasn't it? Sam's still out there, he led by 25 seconds almost at the start of the first climb. That was then reduced by around 10 seconds, and look at this, just 6.5 seconds to Alex now. Matt's in 3rd place as well. There's Alex, he's got the leader in sight. Looks as though the points will go to Sam again, however. So that's 6 points already to Sam in this race. Alex 2nd, and that's a 3rd place in the end for Cooper. What's Sam got to keep going? It looks as though his adventure might be over for now. They're almost on the wheel here, but he has that lead. Five riders more or less still there. There's just BYRON and Mass with that little gap to close. And here goes Alex. Riders taking on the Governor Street climb now. We saw on our televisions a few years back the left turn, and then the ever so slight false flat uphill to the line as well. And Alex is pulling out a 3-second gap here. He's yet to really show us a standout performance yet, Alex, but he's been solid all week so far. Bit of a change at the front as Sam retakes his position. Chance to maybe try and pull out on the downhill, but that's difficult, isn't it? Alex giving the same effort. All 5 riders about as together as they can be, with 17 kilometers to go, just under 2 laps. Climbs are coming up again now. Sam is trying to make his move once more. Just pulls out a second or two of a gap now. Surely they're not going to let him go this time.
A little bit of a calm before the storm on a second lap now, although with Sam currently rampaging.
I don't think he will make it tactic-wise. Won't be the smartest move.
The smartest move, says the boss. But look at this gap. Look at this gap. It's over half a minute now for Sam. If they let him do this every lap, he will walk away with victory. Remember, this is a points race. Sam started this climb, pulling out a gap of over 30 seconds. He has that 30-second gap. Huge effort up that first hill, and Cooper drops his power up at just the right time. He loses contact. Mass is being dropped. That is it. Mass dropped quite spectacularly so. Sam started this climb, pulling out a gap of over 30 seconds. The 4 in the chase now. Now this race taking shape. 3 in the chase, led by Alex, Cooper and BYRON in his draft. Now if they work together as they would on the road, they could use the draft in Zwift to help bring Sam back. It's just so hard to stay away solo if a group behind you works well together. Question is, will they?
Got quite some gap now, hasn't he? 51 seconds. I'll be honest, I didn't think he was going to be able to do that after he got caught on the first lap. Are you surprised as well?
Yeah, for sure, I'm surprised. I thought a bit the same. I thought it was a good start, taking the first 2 sprints, and then I thought, okay, now he is just going to sit back and wait for the final. But he just kept keeping going on. And I think the other guys, the punchy guys, just are a bit afraid of each other.
Yeah.
And now the big engine is gone, I'm afraid.
Well, they're getting deeper into this race now. The faces start to turn to more effort, more pain. Just 3.3 kilometers to go for the leader. In the meantime, they're trying to mop up the 2 and 1 points behind. 3 riders going for it. BYRON there in the orange and blue jersey. Looking to hold on for those 2 points is BYRON. And it will be Cooper to take the 1. Bit of a mistake there from Alex. Sam still with just under a minute of a lead. This has been quite a remarkable performance. BYRON dropping the aero power up there. Not the best place to use it, but it will help a little. He can pick up a new one going through the arch. Cooper had a feather. He used that at the right time again. This man is a racer. Taking advantage of that reputation as the lightweight to outclimb the rest. But look at this though, because here comes Cooper. They're going neck and neck to the line. Look at this, look at this. Oh wow, he's round him. 2 points for Cooper. It looked as though BYRON was going to ride away to those easily. And Sam has put in a monster performance. He has a monster engine. The part-time teacher all the way from Australia has come to Mallorca and given out a lesson. That monster engine on show, the part-time teacher from Australia has given them a lesson. BYRON coming across in second place, Alex in third on the line. Sam first across the line, having picked up the points, dominated the race. Sam is today's winner. It's been attritional. It's been absolutely hardcore out there in the virtual world. They are all absolutely shattered.
It felt really good to come out on top today. There's a massive audience watching and everyone was yelling, spurring me on.
the heart rate was high, the pain was high, but yeah, super excited to get out on top. It was a great atmosphere tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure I didn't impress anyone today, but I hope I will the next couple of days, but just have to shake this off and move on.
With the men's points race wrapped up, here are the official results. In first, it's Sam with 24 points. In second is BYRON on 10 points. Third is Cooper with 9. Fourth, Alex with 5. And in fifth, Mads with 0. After some thrilling racing, it's time to hear the all-important thoughts of our pro team judges, who are in charge of who stays and who goes in this evening's first surprise eliminations.
Okay, guys, that was some race that we've just watched. I wasn't expecting that result. Christoph, the boss, I'll come to you first. Were you expecting that one?
No, not at all. I never thought that he could keep up till the end.
To get caught and then to go again and do exactly the same thing until you break your opponents, that is quite impressive, right?
Yeah, it was a very, very impressive effort, and just like Christoph said, on the moment itself, he never thought that he would keep that up for 45 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, before we get too far into Sam, let's talk about fifth place first. Mads, what can you take from that?
Today we have to be honest, and then he cracked a bit into the race. Then it was fighting until the end.
Yeah. Okay, and then in fourth place we had Alex. But you said he was having problems with power-ups.
Yeah, obviously the button was not working, so he could not use it on the right moment. So that would have been not an advantage for him, I think.
No, fourth place with no power-ups, that's quite significant. Okay, and then onto our podium. So in third place, we had the rider of the day from day one, it was Cooper.
Yeah, he confirmed a bit what we thought already. He is probably, let's say, the fastest guy, the most sprinter guy, most punchy guy of all, even though the differences between BYRON, Cooper and Alex, it's really small.
Really? Yeah. That close?
Yeah, that close.
Wow.
So it makes it even more difficult for us, I guess.
Okay, so on to BYRON then. Now he is the lightest of our riders.
Although it took a bit, I think the guys know that Cooper is, let's say, the fastest. They felt that already a bit. The last climb they did, let's say a 1 minute, 1.5 minute full effort to beat the sprinter. And that was the right tactic, and that was a very good final sprint from BYRON.
Yeah, and then on to Sam, because you said you wanted to see, you wanted to be surprised, you wanted to see tactics.
It was a TT, he did.
It was a points race, so we expected to see some variations in the effort. He just said, no points race for me, my strength is TT, which is brave.
Yeah.
But does it tell us more now from his capacities?
Have you seen enough yet to be able to establish that all-important top three?
Getting more and more difficult.
Yeah, that's it. Getting more and more complex, because we are here talking about 0.1, 0.2 watts a kilo on difference. If we have to make a decision on that, sleepless nights.
Great stuff. Thanks, guys.
After expert insight from the Alpecin Fenix judges, it's time to hear from our Canyon SRAM judges.
So first up then, Willemijn. Obviously she was disappointed at the finish of the race today. How did you see her performance?
So I think what was good is that she really never gave up right until the end.
And given what you've seen of her so far, do you expect her to be able to put that behind her? And
From seeing Willemijn out on the road this morning, actually she impressed there.
Right, well let's move on to the fourth place rider, that was Imogen.
Yeah, she stayed very positive. Unluckily that technical was a bit too early to see the first split, but yeah, she kept her head up.
I think it was impressive that she had that issue at the start, but she could adapt to the situation.
Right then, third place today in the points race was Caitlin. What did you make of her performance?
She was fighting hard for an all or nothing there to get back on. And then once the rope snapped, I would say, then she waited for the other two. That was her only chance, and then just focusing on that third place and not being alone in the nowhere there in the middle.
Right, runner-up in the points race then, we had Rachel. An incredible fighter was my opinion at the end of it. I mean, she just never seemed to give up.
Yeah, definitely character-wise as well, like really fighting, like absolute fighter. She probably didn't do as well as we might have expected in the first test, but today she really showed that, yeah, there's a lot of talent there and she's willing to suffer for it.
Well, it was a very good day for Mode, who won the race overall in quite dominant fashion, really.
She saved enough to then be dominant, and it was very impressive how she then attacked at the last 2 climbs.
So, 3 days in now, are you any closer to a decision, would you say?
Well, the decision is not easy. They're really coming more together, actually, than stretching out in terms of how you would rate them.
Also got to talk to you about something which happened a little bit later on, because Wilhelmine upset, as I think we can all understand why she was feeling a bit upset after her performance and finishing 5th from 5. But Mode then saw her upset, and I understand she was then not in a good way herself. What was that about?
I mean, I think I think it's understandable, and there's so many emotions running, like throughout the entire final. So at some point, some people are going to be high, some people are going to be low. Maybe Wilhelmine was thinking, you know, especially in that moment when she became 5th. So I think there's a lot of stresses that each of the finalists are under, and I think, you know, some emotions coming out. I think we're going to see that, you know, probably every day, actually, especially as we get closer to the final.
The judges have made their decisions. It's now time to visit the finalists.
Finalists, you might be wondering why we've gathered you here tonight, and it's because we've got some important news.
We have. So the judges have spent a long time analysing everything they've seen from you in the challenges so far, and we've asked them to make a decision.
2 of you will be leaving the competition tonight. Your Zwift Academy dreams will end here. And we will be so sorry to see you go. Rest assured that getting to this point is already an incredible achievement.
It is. 150,000 riders entered the Zwift Academy this year, so it's a testament to your talent on the bike that you're here in the first place.
It is.
But the 2 riders we will now say goodbye to are...
Mads.
And Wilhelmine.
Sorry, guys. Well done.
Sorry. Well done.
Okay, guys.
Sorry, you've done so well.
Yeah.
Mads, well done, mate. That was a...
I'm sorry, guy. But you did really well. You have to keep that in mind. Yeah.
Go on, mate.
For sure, we have to make
Bit of a shot.
decision. That we can only hope that you enjoyed the days standing here, and that you maybe learned a few things from it.
It's been an amazing experience, and I'm happy I did it. I'm of course disappointed that I didn't do that well during these days. I just think I underperformed, and there can be a million reasons why. But that's just how it is, and I have to accept it. But I won't lie, I'm really disappointed. I'm happy I had this experience, even though it didn't went as I hoped.
Yeah.
Good that we had to build that before. Stay positive. And you know now where you can improve the most.
Of course, I'm feeling very sad, but I'm just gonna accept it and keep going, and I will be back in about a few years. Yeah.
Sorry, man. Man, got it for you.
Right. Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah.
10 riders began the Zwift Academy final week, but now there are only 8 remaining in with a chance of taking that contract with Canyon SRAM or Alpecin Phoenix.
Tomorrow, though, they face probably their toughest challenge yet.
All day with Sai.
No. They're going to ride up Sacalobra, a fearsome test, as part of a long mountainous ride where they'll be keeping pace with the pro riders.
And at the end of the day, unfortunately, we will say goodbye to 2 more competitors. It's so tough.
It is hard.
I need to go to the bar. Coming?
Well, I would. I'm going to go see if Matthew Van Der Poel wants a game of table football. I'll catch up with you, all right?
Next time on the Zwift Academy Finals, the competition gets real.
Gloves are off, full gas.
You know, this is just mano a mano. It's like a full send.
There's a hit out on Mallorca's toughest climb.
Come on, Imogen, come on!
And there is another elimination.
The 2 riders leaving ahead of the final day are